My uncle used to have this beautiful cabin. It was almost placed with such care that every season that passed was graceful and a dream. Summers were never sweltering, and it was always snowing in the winter. He had to sell it a few years ago, but I can still vividly remember the wooden walls and the fire pit out back. We'd roast marshmallows and make s'mores every visit, even with my parents' protest. The inside felt like a movie when I was 6. Most everything had a warm-colored theme, the furniture being a muted mahogany and the various frames ranging between dark oranges and yellows set atop a stone fireplace. Brown rugs sat on the floor and dark paintings lined the walls and were lit up by white Christmas lights. He never fancied the idea of a Christmas tree. It took up too much space, and he'd never had kids of his own to entertain with ornaments and gifts that they didn't need. Maybe that's why he was the cool uncle. Without kids of his own to entertain, he made do with my cousins and I. Most memories I hold of it were from when I was a kid. I'm 28 now. Last year, I actually got to spend Christmas at that cabin. I was on the highway home from a mall. I was grabbing gifts for a few friends and family members, I think. I don't know how I ended up in the woods. One minute it's dark and cold, persistent hail pounding on my windshield. The next I'm waking up in the guest room, a quiet chill in the room and peaceful birds singing outside. It felt like I'd spent about a month there, Christmas included. The visit was special. That isn't to say visits with my uncle weren't, but this one, it felt surreal. Like I wasn't really there. Everything was where it should have been, just like the last time I'd been there. It was different though. My uncle wasn't there, for one. I was alone in the large space. A bookshelf replaced a dresser in the guest room, with photo albums containing documented and, strangely, even undocumented family events and holidays, and books I'd read 100 times before. I kept myself busy with those when relatives weren't showing up out of the blue. My mom was the most frequent. I'd be flipping through an Easter Sunday or eating a bowl of my favorite oatmeal, and she'd suddenly be sitting right next to me. She'd cry at first, updating me about back home and how she was trying to convince my boyfriend to visit. He did, but it was closer to the end of my stay. My mom stopped crying about a week in. "I'm told they expect a full recovery when you wake up," she enthused. "That means you'll be back soon, so I'm not going to cry anymore." I was happy for her. I hated seeing her cry. My dad came a few times, spending about 10 minutes before getting bored with a one-way conversation. Understandable. I don't blame him. My siblings came a couple of times with my parents, and my friends even gave me a few hours of their time each week. I loved every minute of their spontaneous visits. I got sick during the 4th week there, not really wanting to hop out of bed to make food or use the bathroom. Visits became more frequent and with larger groups during those couple of days. I don't know what happened with my mom, but she started crying again. Kept saying things like, "Their nurses say you're unstable, but won't elaborate further." And, "Wherever your head is at, please come back soon." I'll admit that is when the homesickness kicked in. I was enjoying my time before. Living was stress-free and effortless. The cabinets were always full and I never had to worry about cleaning up. The cabin made sure everything was well with itself, and I made sure the same with myself. We lived in harmony, me and my memories. But I had to go home. I did go home a few days after I got over my sickness, actually. I opened the front door and walked down the driveway and drove off. One turn led to another, and I was awake. Finally, I was home, and I was awake. Months later, and part of me wishes I were still there. Back within the wooden walls and flipping through memories and photo albums. However, I'm not upset I'm here. I'm glad I get to sleep in my own bed again, and the only real hassle I had to wake up to were bruises and various stitches. For the rest of my life, though, I'll always be fond of my Christmas in the woods.